Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining me, because today we are looking at a story that honestly feels straight out of a Hollywood movie. We're talking about a classic, deeply moving small-town American journey from the very bottom to the absolute top. We are going to explore a complete masterclass in perseverance, relentless grit, and unbroken family bonds. So settle in, because you're in for an absolute treat.
But, to really understand where this all ends up, we've got to start with the emotional anchor of the whole thing. Just listen to this.
One day, I'll change our life forever.
That childhood promise, made by our protagonist Ethan Carter, is the driving force behind every single decision, every sacrifice, and every hardship we're about to dive into.
So I want you to picture this. It's late at night. Heavy rain and freezing wind are just whipping through the empty streets of a small town called Cedar Hill. Inside the local school, we meet Michael Carter. Michael is a tired, quiet school janitor, just cleaning the hallways. Day in and day out, he is entirely ignored. The students would laugh at his old clothes, the teachers barely noticed he was there. But there was always one person who waited for him after school without fail, his son, Ethan.
And to really wrap our heads around what Michael's life was like, you just need to think about the number two. 2 jobs. That represents the sheer, crushing exhaustion of Michael's daily reality. He worked 2 separate jobs just to keep them afloat. Morning shifts pumping gas at a local station, and then long nights scrubbing those school floors.
But despite those 2 grueling jobs, they constantly faced a pretty stark reality. The number one. Money was so incredibly tight that sometimes they could literally only afford one single slice of pizza. But here is absolutely everything you need to know about Michael's character. No matter how exhausted or hungry he was from working all day and night, he always made sure Ethan ate first.
It just creates this incredibly selfless dynamic between the 2 of them. Like Ethan, full of big dreams, would tell his dad he was going to buy him a huge house someday. And Michael? He'd just laugh softly and say he didn't need a big house, he just wanted his son to have a better life than he did.
Which brings us to this really pivotal freezing winter night. Things had gotten so bad that their electricity was completely shut off. Just imagine being that kid, sitting under a heavy blanket, determinedly doing your homework by the tiny beam of a flashlight, while your dad watches quietly with tears filling his eyes. It was right there, in that freezing dark, that Ethan made that quiet promise to himself to change their lives.
Act 2. School struggles and the Harvard triumph. Getting to that victory, though, meant Ethan had to face a whole new set of brutal hardships.
See, at school, Ethan was relentlessly bullied for being poor, for his old shoes and worn-out backpack. But instead of lashing out or fighting back, he made a completely different set of choices. While other teenagers were out partying or, just sleeping in, Ethan was working. He spent hours every single night at the public library, channeling all of that pain and hardship directly into his education.
And man, all those quiet, grueling hours paid off in a massive way. Years later, Ethan actually graduated as the absolute top student in his entire class. It was a complete shock to the local community. The kid they used to laugh at, the invisible janitor son, was suddenly standing at the very pinnacle of academic success.
He didn't just graduate at the top, though. He earned a full-ride scholarship to Harvard University, a full academic grant, completely defying what anyone in that town expected of him. During the graduation ceremony, Michael just wept. And in this beautiful twist of fate, for the first time in years, the people of the town actually stood up and gave the janitor a standing ovation too. When you look at the timeline, you really see the sheer scale of this journey. Starting from those childhood struggles in year 1, all the way to that incredible Harvard graduation in year 12. But if we fast forward a decade, moving from Ethan's triumphant departure back to his hometown, we're met with a very, very different reality.
Act 3. Return to Cedar Hill. So now our focus shifts from Ethan's academic journey right back to the community that raised him.
Unfortunately, the town had a really rough go of it over that decade. Cedar Hill saw a sharp decline. The old roads were crumbling, crime had noticeably spiked, and whole families were just struggling deeply to get by. The town was now facing the exact same vulnerability and poverty that Michael and Ethan faced all those years ago.
And then, the town gets an absolute shock. Out of nowhere, a new mayoral candidate appears on their TV screens, and the name? Ethan Carter, the exact same poor kid from Cedar Hill, the janitor's son they used to ignore, had returned to help.
Now, I want you to listen closely to his campaign message. I know what it feels like to struggle, I know what it feels like to be ignored. That's why I'm here, to fight for families like mine. That is just brilliant leadership, isn't it? He doesn't hide his painful past. He leverages it. He uses the very things he was bullied for to connect authentically with a town that was now hurting.
And sure enough, on election night, the results flash across the screen. Ethan Carter wins the mayor's race. The crowd absolutely explodes with cheers. I mean, we all love an underdog story, and Ethan had officially transformed from the impoverished kid into the leader of the entire town. But, the true victory here wasn't political at all. It was profoundly personal. As Ethan walks out onto that stage to a roaring crowd, before he even says a word to the cameras, he searches the room for one specific person. And there is Michael, standing quietly in the back, still humble, wearing the exact same old work jacket.
Ethan actually steps down off the stage, walks right through the parting crowd, and pulls his father into a tight hug. And he whispers just 4 words, "We made it, Dad." That promise, the one made under a freezing blanket with a flashlight, was finally fulfilled. The janitor's son had become the mayor.
The moral of the story. So, what can we actually take away from Ethan and Michael's incredible journey?
Your beginning does not decide your future. Hard work, sacrifice, and belief can change everything. It's such a powerful reminder that our current circumstances, they aren't permanent destinations. Relentless hard work and selfless sacrifice literally rewrote their entire reality.
Which really leaves us with one final thought today. If a kid studying by flashlight under a blanket can become the mayor of the very town that overlooked him, how will you let your own sacrifices and hard work define your future, regardless of where you began? Think about that for a while. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I will catch you all next time.